you've drawn quite the crowd.
Packed house.
Yes. So I would love to jump right in because everybody wants to hear you talk. At Code and Theory, we think a lot about the intersection of technology, performance, storytelling, and in F1, all of those things come together at 200 miles an hour. And so I'm really excited to be here with George Russell and Don to talk about what happens when hardware, software, and human instinct come together. So first, huge congrats on this weekend. Very exciting.
Give it up for George.
Yeah.
Winner in Montreal.
So it seemed like a race that you kind of had to win twice. Once off the line and again after the safety car. What was going through your mind in that moment?
Yeah, firstly, good afternoon to everybody, and thanks for coming out today. It's obviously pretty toasty here in the south of France, so it's nice. We had a quick stop off in New York after Montreal to see the F1 premiere with Brad Pitt, so that was pretty cool to see. And it was great to get a victory in Montreal. It's been a long time coming. It was our first win of the season. We've had a number of podiums. But there's so much being made of this race and the importance of it. Obviously, lining up on the front row alongside Max, which is always quite an interesting one. But fortunately, we made a good start and we focus on ourselves. And I think ultimately sometimes when you're in a situation like that and there's a lot of noise being made, when you know you've got the potential, you've just got to focus on yourself, make sure you do everything right to the best of your ability, and the rest will work out. And that's exactly what it did. And crossing the line, getting the P1, Kimi in P3 as well, 2 podiums for the team was a good day in the office.
You said post-race that you feel like you're driving better than ever. What do you attribute that to?
I think a lot comes with experience, it comes with confidence, but most importantly, it's just hard work with the team. I've been with Mercedes now for 4 years, and you build this growth with the team members you're working with, and you go from strength to strength. And we're in a sport that is, dominated by the car, and we're doing our best to bring Mercedes back to the front. And we see, McLaren have done an amazing job to go from being the very last team on the grid 2 years ago to now being the team to beat sort of week in, week out. So that gives us the optimism that it is possible to turn things around. And of course, we're having a solid season, but our aspirations aren't to be second best. Our goal is to be the best, and that's what we're all working towards.
And then, of course, there's the tech, behind the driver, all around the driver, really, that enables split-second race-winning decisions. It feels to me like F1 is a sort of pressurized R&D lab for future tech. And so, Don, I would love for you to tell us about how Qualcomm Snapdragon is working with Mercedes to make drivers faster than ever.
Well, of course, we can't give away secrets, right? No, we're so happy about our partnership with the Mercedes team, and obviously what George has been doing on the track. F1 is the most technical sport, right, on the planet. And a lot of innovation that ends up landing in the automotive industry in general starts in F1. We have had an amazing growth in our auto business. Snapdragon is probably inside all of your cars to a certain extent, and it's really about what does the driving experience of the future look like. A lot of the technical prowess that goes into calculating an F1 driving experience down to the millisecond, right? You can look out towards how would that manifest itself, in sort of a general public sort of manner. So we're super excited to work with the team, not only from a brand partnership perspective, because the brand values are so aligned between the Mercedes team and Qualcomm and our Snapdragon brand. George mentioned second best isn't good enough, and the competitive nature of the team, the way Toto runs the team, the structure, the premiumness of the brand, the how George and now Kimi represent the brand and the team. It aligns well with what we believe in and how we represent Snapdragon. And so we're working really hard with the team on trying to eke out that smallest, better piece of performance. But we of course can't give away the secret sauce because we want Mercedes to have the edge.
So, George, you're like the tech nerdiest driver on the grid.
Am I?
which I love about you.
All right. Okay.
I don't know, man. He's the
I'll take
nicest
it.
guy on the
I'll
grid.
take
that's
it.
for sure.
I'll take it.
How do you think about the balance between human instinct and machine intelligence? And, do you think of yourself as a technologist in a certain way?
I think for racing drivers, first and foremost, you have to rely on your instincts. But we have all of this tech, all of this data, brilliant engineers around us. We have to use that to our advantage. And drivers who don't understand the tech, who don't understand how to analyze the data, they're leaving performance on the table. So we've got to utilize that knowledge we have, and we have to sort of correlate my feelings from within the car to all of my engineers with what they're seeing on the data to be able to streamline the process to help. We're almost trying to help their understanding of what they're seeing on the data, and they can go back to the wind tunnel to develop a faster race car. So we are effectively sort of engineers on the side as well as being the driver, and that's sort of an essential role of Formula One drivers of today.
I've never seen more real-time data processing to help performance than during a race. I mean, people, they see the driver in the car on the track, but they don't see the team effort going on around, to George's point, of all the engineers analyzing data in real time to just figure out how to, between, free practice 1 all the way through to qualifying and then into the race, how to kind of real-time sort of, make the circumstances better, give you an advantage, give you an edge. It's stunning to watch that.
Yeah, I think it's unique in our industry because every single lap that you're driving, the environment is changing. The temperature of the tires are changing, the temperature of the engine, the brakes. Are you trying to attack the driver in front? Are you trying to defend from the driver behind? And you're working with your team in real time. The team, not only at the racetrack, but we've got 2,500 people between our two factories in the UK who are all working towards that common goal. And you've just got to be so synced up between everybody, and you need that data to be as quick, as efficient as possible to get the info from the computer back to me to get my foot on the gas pedal a bit harder.
And I read at one point that it's like a single car generates a terabyte of data in a weekend, which is wild. So you guys make quite the duo, actually. The teammates we should hear more about. And you have some fun activations up your sleeves to help bring the fans closer to the race. We actually have one that we can show off to the crowd right now. Roll the tape.
This is the first time I'm seeing this. I'm a little bit nervous.
It's all right. You look great.
Well,
But I
we would
think this
roll
is-
the tape.
I mean, for us as well now in Formula One, it's all about bringing the fans closer to the sport as well. And of course, we've got our partnership with Snapdragon, and there's so many technical partnerships we have. But the sport is just growing so much now through what we've seen with Netflix, what we're seeing with drivers' personalities, and then some of the activations we're doing with partners is what makes it more exciting. And it, of course, keeps us busy, but that's a huge part of the sport now.
And George is super funny.
All right, yeah, well,
Yes, he
don't
is.
put the pressure on me because this activation that we did was a bit of a unique one, and I think I hope
We like to
fans
push
are-
the envelope.
Yeah, we're definitely pushing the envelope there. So once we got this up and running, you'll be able to see it.
Okay.
Anyone who's ever created content on Snapdragon-powered devices knows it's fast, it's powerful, it's honestly just plain cool. So when we looked for a brand partner that matched our high performance, we knew just where to find one. An icon of sport, Mercedes-AMG PETRONAS F1 Team blends raw power with precision, making their fan base the perfect match for our high-octane tech. And what better person to speak their language than team driver George Russell? We knew George would react strongly.
What the?
There was just one tiny problem. F1 drivers aren't supposed to swear. But as a brand that's known for pushing the rules of what can be done, we gladly accepted the challenge and found a workaround. One that would solve the problem and make us part of the conversation.
This camera, it's incredible.
Introducing George Russell's swearing double. Brought to you by Snapdragon to say all the things that George is thinking about Snapdragon-powered devices, but isn't supposed to say.
Really? Yeah, I think so. It's actually... Yeah.
Together, they're starring in a new series of social films shot exclusively on Snapdragon-powered devices, built for the feeds and designed to be a part of culture, where George can speak his mind when experiencing Snapdragon-powered devices and share his excitement, awe, and enthusiasm.
And this one is sick. Yeah, nice save.
Without getting into trouble. It's a bold, unexpected way to show how awesome Snapdragon tech is.
This phone is so
mind-blowingly fast.
And proves that with the right idea and the right partner, you don't just join the conversation, you drive it.
I mean, this is awesome.
So that series launches this week. The teaser's today out on social, and the series is called What the F1.
I'm impressed. Are you angling for an acting career post-driving?
I think you can do it.
I know we're looking for a James Bond at the moment, but I think I'm a bit busy for the time being. But this shoot was so funny because there's been a bit of noise around Formula One where they brought in a swearing ban about a year ago. Which, okay, I'm not one who swears often, but you know, when you're in the car, sometimes you need to vent out to your team. So when they gave me the brief for this shoot and I had a swearing double, I was a bit confused about it, but he was just swearing on my behalf throughout the whole shoot. So I think it's going to come out pretty funny.
It'd be kind of nice to have that in real life, to be honest with you. So this time last year, Snapdragon expanded its partnership with Mercedes to support F1 Academy, which is designed to help develop female driving talent. I would love to hear about what that's been like, Don.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously we've had such a great relationship with the F1 team, and so Susie Wolf being the CEO of the F1 Academy and also part of the dynamic duo of Toto and Susie. You know, we sat down with her and understanding her mission, and then meeting Dorian, right, who's the Mercedes F1 Academy driver. We couldn't think of a better way to expand our partnership and create more of a holistic, you know, sort of brand connection with a growing audience of fans, which is female, by the way, for F1, then pushing into the Academy. So we're one of the first brands, I think, right just after American Express, that pushed into the Academy, wrapped ourselves around Dorian. We just view it as part of the Mercedes brand ethos and the Snapdragon brand ethos when it comes to F1 racing. Couldn't be happier with the results, and super proud to be part of the Academy.
And George, you've been incredibly supportive of women racing. Why do you think F1 Academy is important for the future of the sport?
Yeah, F1 Academy is massively important for the future because Formula One is evolving so much, motorsport is evolving so much, and I remember when I was growing up racing as an 8-year-old, there were no girls around the paddock, there were no women who were mechanicking or engineering or working really in the sport as a whole, and as we've seen Netflix grow and women and young girls like really getting into Formula One and really enjoying the sport that we love and seeing that it is possible to be in motorsport, whether it's a driver, whether it's, as you know, Susie doing an amazing job in F1 Academy. We have a number of female engineers working within our team, and showing Formula One is accessible to all. And I think this is just the beginning of F1 Academy. Of course, there's so much work to do, and it needs to start also at grassroots to give that opportunity to young girls to get into racing. But we're seeing the tide shift slightly, and who knows when we're going to see a female driver in Formula One in the years to come, but I'm sure it will probably be in our lifetime.
And watch F1 The Academy on Netflix.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good series.
Amazing. Hello Sunshine, Reese Witherspoon, Susie Wolf. Check it out.
We are lucky to be here in front of some of the most consequential movers and shakers in the world. So let's take advantage. Is there anything, George, on your wish list? Any tech innovation that you think would unlock another level of performance?
if there's something we can do to slow the competition down, that would be greatly appreciated, to be honest. How we can do that, I'm not
There are
too
ways.
I'm sure there are ways, whether it's allowed or not within the realms of the sport, who knows. But at the end of the day, Formula One we're pushing the edge of technology and innovation in every single regard. And there's so many incredible Formula One teams now that you're constantly in this battle, race on race, year on year. And if you are slightly on the back foot, it's so challenging to make that leapfrog forward. But that's why the sport is so incredible, and that's how all of the teams are pushing one another, and we're seeing this technology going from Formula One, going into road cars, going into sustainable fuels that we're developing for next season, that are going to be used in the automotive industry, that's going to be used in aviation industry. So Formula One not only is this sport that is so high profile, that so many people are loving, but is actually going to become more relevant than ever for the future of society. And I think that's sort of a really important factor of our sport.
And Don, what does the world look like, speaking of the future, what does the world look like in 5 years, 10 years if Snapdragon gets its way?
Wow, if Snapdragon has its way, the world in 5 years is more connected, less divisive, utilizing technology to move their lives, their creativity, their productivity forward in a positive way. And just making kind of lives easier for everybody, and giving the use of technology to give people the time to actually step back or step away to do the things that they love. And, that's really the ultimate purpose, the ultimate goal of our technology is yes, it's technology, but it's meant to help you kind of free up your time at the end of the day so that you can do the things that you love. So I think if, we're not in a mental health crisis, right? We don't have all these things going on, and if we could help with that, that's kind of our ultimate goal. And then, George is the F1 champion.
So speaking of doing things you love, George, when you're not behind the wheel of a car, which I know you love, what else do you enjoy doing with your time?
I love being by the sea, to be honest. I'm very fortunate to live in such a beautiful location down in this part of the world, and we live such a high-speed lifestyle. As I said, the last 3 days we've gone from Montreal to New York to the UK to Cannes. So our schedule is always on the move. But when I've got some free time, I like to take my foot off the gas pedal and just relax. I like to be on the water. That's where I feel sort of disconnected to the world. And I think that is like you were saying before, disconnecting a little bit from our devices is sometimes so important to sort of reconnect with yourself and to recharge those batteries, and just finding that right balance of what is required to succeed at the highest level. Sometimes not being on the gas pedal 365 days a year is the most efficient and the correct way about going about your life. Just finding that right balance that you can have that half a day of relaxation or recharge, and when you come back, you're ready to smash it.
Do you ever go into do not disturb mode?
On my telephone or just in my life? Generally? I'm in do not disturb quite often, to be honest. I mean, I'm often with the people who I love. My girlfriend Carmen travels around with me quite a lot, and she's got so many amazing projects on the go right now. But for me, if somebody wants to get hold of me, they'll find a way of getting hold of me. So I think we live a life where we're living our dream. I'm living my dream being a Formula One driver. I'm so fortunate that I'm healthy and the people around me are healthy and happy, and ultimately that is the most important thing.
So how are you thinking about your next race?
I'm excited for the next race, to be honest. You come off the back of success, but ultimately Montreal, that was last week. That's history. That's in the past now. And we're looking forward to the next challenge. How are we going to achieve that result once more? How are we going to achieve this result more commonly into the future? So you're always work in the present, but also for what is, short-term, medium-term, long-term. And you've got to be across all of those aspects. Otherwise, when you reach that point, you're going to be left behind.
And so can you give us a little bit of a longer view? What's your outlook on the rest of this season?
Just win, baby.
Yeah, just win. That's the plan. That is the plan. Formula One, like we said, is a challenging sport. It's so dynamic. We raced in Canada last week, where it was a nice smooth surface. It was a street track, but the track was nice and smooth, and our car was performing really, really well there. Now we go to Austria next week. We're racing at altitude. The engines are performing differently as they got less air to breathe. The cars have less downforce. It's going to be hot, so the tires are going to be overheating. So even though you can take learnings away from your previous race or your previous experience, sometimes they don't directly correlate to the next race. So just because we're coming off the back of a great result doesn't mean that we're guaranteed a good result next week. So we have to go in with an open mind and be ready to attack.
Amazing. We're so lucky that we were able to grab some time with you this week. Thank you for stopping by. If they can hear us backstage, I think we have something back there.
Yeah, we have something for the crowd.
For the
right?
crowd.
If we can get Ken out here.
I'm not crowd surfing, if that's what you're
We're
going to
we're going to throw George out to the crowd. No, but we do have some signed hats.
All right.
Don't kill each other trying to get these, but
Come on,
Are we throwing this out to the crowd, or what are we?
We're throwing them out to the crowd.
Oh, you guys are coming here. All right. All right.
Thank you all.
Well, first and foremost. There you go.
Oi.
There we go. Thanks.
George, I almost saw you in Montreal. Make can work. You have a faster plane.
There's a guy in a McLaren hat here, which you need to take that off and put one of these on. So, all right, here we go. Thank you so much. All right, I've got a few more here. I'm gonna go for a long one. I'm gonna go someone at the back there. Oh my. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Is that everything? I think that's all of them.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
you
you
so
all
much,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you so much.